Hi, I'm Rose, and you are watching The Sovereign Soul. I support people to live beyond ego and limitations to know true freedom. And today I want to tell you a story about that because I think there are many aspects to healing, which of course there are, but there's a certain depth that certain people really want to get to the ultimate freedom, whatever that might mean for you, of course. We will all have our own ideas of what that is, and ideology, and maybe sometimes it's even like a remembrance in yourself of what that freedom feels like, and it's something that we're searching in our lifetime. In my experience, and of course it's only my experience, I have come to see certain foundations for very deep transformation, and certain things have been like the bedrock, is that the right word, for all other shifts and changes and remembrances that I have come to on my journey. And one of those things started for me with a quote. Now, before I read this quote, I've always been into quotes. I've always been into personal growth and spiritual connection. Loved the idea of enlightenment. It was always like, oh, and actually attaining that kind of, I suppose, lack of suffering state that the Buddhists speak about, or that like Zen Buddhist complete being okay at one with all things, that peace. And I'd read a lot of books, and I was on that journey. And sure, there was progress on my journey, but it was slow, and I was still very, very, very much living in my pain body, and I just didn't know how to transcend it. And when I say living in my pain body, I was struggling with pretty much everything my life was throwing at me. I was exhausted and tired all the time. I felt so lonely and unsupported. I felt that I had a lot of unresolved grief and a lot of unresolved pain inside of me that was still playing out. I was still living as a victim. And what does that mean? That means that almost like destiny is deciding things for me, and I'm not connected to my free will and my free choice. And so life keeps happening to me. You know, the saying like when life hands you lemons. Well, when life hands you lemons, when you're in that state, what you're doing is you are continuing to, I don't know, put the lemons to get rotten. You're not doing something good with them, basically, because they're not really helping you to transform. So I was exhausted. I was having trouble in my relationships. I was having trouble with my relationship with myself. I was quite reactive still as a mom of three young kids at that stage. Life had handed me, a fair amount to deal with, but the way in which I was dealing with it was not empowering. And then I read a quote, and the quote is, sleep doesn't help when it's your soul, or if it's your soul that's tired. And something in me just went, what? In all the books I've read, in all the searching I've done, never had I come across something that penetrated me to the depth of going, you're looking in the wrong place for healing. Look inside your soul. And that took my journey in a very different direction. It's like I say, it's the foundation of everything I stand for today and everything I've achieved in myself on a mental, emotional, spiritual, energetic, and physical level in my life. And what I see as success for me. So being able to transcend behaviors and reconnect to my free will and my free choice, and reconnect to emotional intelligence, and have good relationships and have good boundaries in myself, and learn about self-love and self-respect. And that was the foundation for all of it, is understanding that all of that healing comes from your soul. That's where it starts. And then when you start learning to listen to the soul, more opens up. And this, I believe, is because the blueprint of the soul holds all information of everything that we've been through and everything we will go through. And it holds the bridge between this life that we live and our divinity. So inside our DNA, I see that it holds that blueprint of the soul. And the interesting thing is only 3% of our DNA is active. So that is like 97% of dormant DNA. Scientists have called it junk DNA, but it's not junk. That is the that is the essence of who you are. It's how you can embody higher consciousness. And that becomes a journey in itself, because awakening can you unfold, you keep unfolding. In a sense, it's almost like looking at the petals of the chakras. You start, with a few petals and you get up to 1,000 petals. And so we are constantly this unfolding work in progress. And it's the learning to listen to the soul that connects you to understanding the languages of intuition, but also the guidance back home. And I say back home, meaning to your natural state of being, which is beyond this body that you're living. It's beyond this avatar of whoever you are. It's beyond my avatar of Rose, because I'm so much more than that. We all are. And it's the healing of the soul that gets us to that. It unfolds self-mastery. It unfolds self-actualization. It unfolds spiritual awakening. It unfolds personal responsibility. It unfolds emotional intelligence, like all these incredible things that just allow us to deeply connect to not only our authentic self, but also to the oneness of all creation. And that is all sitting in the silence of the sleeping DNA. So the soul is the base of all of that. I mean, at our essence, I see us as spirit, as pure consciousness. But the soul is the individuated experiences from the whole. But it's got all the memory of that. It's got all the genius of that. It's got all the connection to that, the divinity. But it also can get loaded by the things that we experience in the social conditioning. And it's part of let's call it the earth game, that people are disconnected from that part of themselves, which is the most fundamental part of ourselves. Because when we reawaken the relationship to that, and we start peeling off the layers, the journey becomes a heart-based journey, no longer a head one. We're not going to be living from the pain body and the ego. The soul is going to show you your ego. And you're going to have a choice then in automatic reactions to all of a sudden thoughtful responses. You're going to start making choices that serve you rather than ones that go against you. And this all starts with healing the soul. And I remember when I learned this idea, it was so like one of those moments. And a friend of mine connected me with someone else who was like quite further along the journey. And I remember saying to someone, I want to help people heal their soul. And she was just so calm and just said like, yeah, isn't that what it's always about? And I realized, wow, I've been living in La La Land because I've been living in this head space and not having this congruency between head and heart. And so the journey has gone, and I've been on this journey now for 10 decades. And the experience and the understanding and the knowing of myself that it has given me is unbelievable, and still continues to do so. So if you can relate to feeling disconnected, to feeling lonely, to feeling sad, to feeling like you have unresolved stuff, that you're not really connecting to your emotions, that you are feeling fearful and anxious all the time, and somehow life isn't moving forward in a direction that you're hoping for, you're still hoping that something's going to come out there and save you, I want to say to you, why don't you try and connect to talking to your soul? And it's not difficult to do, because the soul talks through emotions. There's nothing that is happening that's not trying to direct you back to that higher alignment. And it's only when you start listening and understanding that no emotion is bad, we're just pushing an emotion away, yet it's trying to give you something. It's trying to teach you something. So start asking your soul to talk and then listen. A great way to do that is to connect with your heart. So you can sit with your feet in the ground, put your hands over your heart, and then if you want to close your eyes, you can. You don't have to. And just breathe into your heart. You breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth, as many as feel comfortable, just to get you to calm the nervous system a bit. And then when you say it out loud, I am listening to my soul. And I'm listening to you now. And you will start getting these intuitive feelings and possible synchronicities and understandings when you are trying to connect with yourself, to understand yourself and to know yourself. And that's definitely a start. Of course, there are many other things we can do and many things we do. Like, I've been an energy healer, and I've used energy healing for myself to help, and chakra balancing, which is kind of energy healing, but it's not really. To me, that's just a drill, like brushing your teeth. And meditation and mindfulness and honesty with ourselves, there's these things. But somehow we have to understand that our soul is our responsibility, and that responsibility is not scary, and that our soul belongs to us, and to take that responsibility back. Religion wants you to give your soul to it, but we need to actually want to be that driver. And it's amazing the miracles that open up with that. Yeah, so that's what I want to talk about today. If you've enjoyed it, please, by all means, share comments. I also have a chakra balancing little mini course, and I can always send the link for that if you'd like. My email address up in the description, and you can just email me and I will send you the link for a chakra balancing course if that's something that you're interested in. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this. Bye.